evening, race fans. Welcome to the Core Racing Network. Tonight, we are here for the CSRL race number 2, round number 2. It is Le Mans. It's going to be one of the tracks that we'll go to where you're really not going to see hardly any laps, and that's because the laps are so long here, about 4 minutes to get around this circuit, and it is it's certainly, you know, it's not your Nürburgring where it is just constantly, you know, berating you and going after your nerves. You know, this one at least has the long Dunlop straight and or the Mulsanne straight on the backstretch with a couple chicanes mixed in there, but you know, so there's some time to breathe at least at this track. But it is still a long lap. 4 minutes is a long time to get around for one single lap. Arlen Hamburg joined in the booth by Jimmy Covert. Jimmy, back in action here tonight. Welcome back from vacation, and you get to see round number 2 here for CSRL.
Yeah, round number 2 at a kind of a unique track. You know, the drivers need to, you know, in the beginning, you know, you're gonna see, I think you're gonna see maybe a driver or two maybe drafting some to just kind of get that advantage of fuel. But 2 cars can run faster than one here, and that's if, you know, these drivers are willing to work together. We've seen in the past, you know, obviously they don't like to work well together too much, you know, trying to make sure they beat one another. But, you know, if you can save that fuel and make that pit stop a little bit better, it might be easier to pass in the pits than it is on the track because of the drafting here. But you have to nail the corners. You have to get that flow in. You have to hit your mark. You have to hit the apex and get that acceleration out of the corner, or you can find yourself falling behind pretty quickly. Looking at the lap times here for the field, all the way up at the 354 and all the way down to 410. So there is a, you know, a little bit of a, looks like a skill gap, or just maybe someone got a really good run with the that draft. So, but looking forward here to seeing how things finish out and how things continue here for this nice season here with CSRL. Always happy to be back up here in the booth to cover these drivers. Always great people to be around and great races to watch. So welcome race fans and everybody else here in attendance, and yeah, let's get her done.
Yeah, you mentioned flow, and that's kind of what half of this track is. Half of it is just high speed and a good chance to get some drafting in, and the other half is flow. You start off turn number 1, you know, really nothing to it, just a little sweeper to head you to the Dunlop chicane, but cold tires, Dunlop chicane do not mix well. It's a little chicane, you know, nothing really too crazy once you're up the speed, but it's just kind of off camber maybe a little bit. And when you got cold tires going in on lap 1, I'm sure I'll say it right now, I'm sure the entire field is not going to make it through there on lap 1. There's going to be somebody that goes off track or just straight up spins through those first that chicane there. Then you head down in through the S's. Nothing too you know, unsuspecting there, and some of the corners, you know, banked a little bit, which makes it a little bit easier. You head into a Tertre Rouge, and it's a really tight kink, and it's going to send you you know, kind of flying out towards the outside. You take a look at last week at Red Bull Ring, kind of the final sector there with the double right-hander, and the car really wants to push out to the outside. You can do that. You can get off track a little bit heading out of the corner, but you get a little bit too much, you're going to get an off track, and you're going to have a slowdown, taking it into the longest, straightest part of the track, and that's down the Mulsanne straight. Again, it's mixed in with a couple of chicanes. First one starting off going to the right, second one starting off going to the left. Then it'll head you down into Mulsanne, the corner at the far end of the track on the right-hand side there of the track map. And one of the slowest parts of the track, getting slowed way down there before you head all the way down. Nice little long stretch again into Indianapolis and Arnage, and just kind of two. Well, Indianapolis banked, so it certainly helps you get through that one. Arnage seems and races a little bit tighter than just a 90-degree corner, and can catch some of the drivers off guard there. And then you head into the flow, and that is the Porsche curves, the Corvette curves, and then the Ford chicanes. And you really need to nail the Porsche curves and get through it with as much speed as possible. The exit of the Porsche curves and heading into the Corvette curves is where it can get a little bit tricky. Same thing with some off track. And then the Ford chicanes can be a very fast section of the track if you take the right angles. If you don't, you could be sending your car up in the air a little bit as there's some hefty sausages waiting there for you before you end this lap. But ending this this qualifying here in just a little bit. We're in kind of like the stoppage time right now, as the 30 minutes are up, but there's still some time for the drivers to get their final lap in if they took the green flag before the checkered was out. But in the meantime, we'll take a look back at a new feature that we have here for the season, and that is the moment of the race, brought to you by DSS. And dominating fashion. He led the entire way, ended up winning by about 7.5 seconds over Greg Jancic and the likes of the rest of the field. So a heck of a debut there for Joe, but he is not on the pole here again. Maybe that's a good thing. He didn't start on the pole last week, but he is looking like he's going to be starting in second, just waiting for everything to finalize here before we get this thing underway. But Jimmy, we're here at Le Mans right now, but I think on the minds of a lot of drivers in the series, and certainly for myself and you, we are looking at the Petit Le Mans coming up this coming weekend.
Yeah, Petit Le Mans, you know, heavy on the mind. You know, obviously with it coming up here around the corner here in a few short days for this weekend, and yeah, we participated in that particular race probably for for at least past 5 years or so, or this will be the 5th year. It's definitely a race that I look forward to every year. It's filled with plenty of blind corners, altitude changes, and surprises with multi-class racing. So looking forward to it, Carl, and just like I'm looking forward to tonight here, as it does look like qualifying is completed. So yeah, 36 drivers ready to go.
Yeah, just waiting for everything to actually finalize here, as still a few cars technically in the session for qualifying, so it's not completing yet until the till all the stoppage time is gone. But yeah, next this coming weekend, the Petit Le Mans is actually held at Road Atlanta, not at Le Mans, but it is it's kind of a miniature version of Le Mans here, and it is a 10-hour endurance race with multi-class. We'll be competing in the LMP2 class along with the other GT3s out there as well. So hopefully, you know, wish us luck out there, and maybe we can bring home at least one, if not 2 podiums or a victory mixed in there, as well as we're gonna have 2 CRN teams running in the Petit Le Mans. Again, still waiting for qualifying to finish out, but again, we'll talk about the finishing order from last week. And again, it was Noah Bourgeau getting the win. Craig Jancic did come home in second, but it was an epic battle between him and Mason Smith once again, as it was anyone's guess who was going to finally pull away at the end, but Craig Jancic ended up getting it done. Mason Smith getting third. Tyler Torville, another good run for him as he finished in fourth. Frank Bassano, Jason Phillips, Simon Seguin, Herbert Pineda, Javi Sierra, and Steve McLean for your top 10. But we've got our running order now finally officially set. So Jimmy, why don't you give us a rundown of tonight's grid?
Yeah, quick rundown of tonight's grid. It's going to be Christopher Hamilton taking the pole here tonight over Noah Bourgeois, and then it's going to be Craig Jancic and Mason Smith as that battle continues up front between all those great drivers. Frank Pisano and Ken Huber, they make their up row number 3. Row number 4 is Bryce Reiner and Tyler Torville. Javier Sierra and Stephen McLean back in row number 5, and then row number 6 was Jonathan Swinton and Kyle Cobbler. Cesar Colon Torres back there in 13th with Christian Ortiz in 14th, and you got Dave Tilford and Jim Dutton on row number 8. Row number 9, Nicholas Cody and Jim Herrick. And then back to the rest of the field, you got to 19th Trent Blaylock with Glenn Lawson, and then Steve Santana, Brandon Potts, David Wells, and Todd Torville. John Espada, Brandon Powell, Bill Burrell, and Michael Ray Galan back there, and Pete number 28. 29th is Byron Bailey. Yeah. 30 has Bailu. Yeah, I'm gonna mess your name up all night today. Ian Wilson back there in 31st. Ethan McCracken. Renan Dilemma, Jay Little, Stefan Price, Autumn McLennan, Kevin Jordan, and Paul Bailey for 38 drivers that will round out your field here tonight. So definitely looking forward to seeing how they finish, how they take on this track, and what kind of strategies they have in their mind here, because it does take a little bit of strategy, a little bit of speed, but get a good finish here. Definitely that strategy, I think, is going to pay off big.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be interesting because it's not like it's not like one where you can think, okay, I'll go one more lap or I'll go 2 more laps. I mean, it's a 4-minute lap. It's as long as, you know, basically 2 laps at another track makes up 1 lap here. So it's interesting when these drivers are gonna decide to come into the pits. In the pit lane here, not difficult at the start of the entry, but you have a chicane in the pit entry that can catch you off guard, can get an off-track, get an unsafe entry into the pits very easily here. So black flags, you gotta take a look at them here. They can very easily get a black flag here, just entering pit road. Exiting pit road, nothing to it. You're exiting straight away, and you can pretty much get straight to speed right away, but it's right at the inside kink of turn number 1, and if somebody's coming down the front stretch, you need to be keeping as far to the right as possible, and hopefully they notice you coming through there as well, because you get caught up in a big incident very quickly exiting the pit road. But we'll see what these drivers can do. We'll see if Bourgeois can get to the front here once again. He's only got 1 car to pass, as he's going to be starting on the outside there of Christopher Hamilton. Back in action here tonight, as Hamilton wasn't here last week, so he's looking to get up there and stake his claim as one of the drivers that I'll get the privilege of racing with out here this coming weekend at the Petit Le Mans. Jimmy, we got another great size field. Last week we had 38 cars take the field, 40 were signed up. Looks like we have 38 signed up here tonight, with 37 at least going to take the green flag. We'll see if Kevin Jordan decides to join the field at any point here tonight. But the field heading to the Ford chicanes right now, and we'll see this 37 car field in action very soon. The pace car actually leads them through the first part of the Ford chicanes before peeling off kind of at the last second, and lets the drivers get to it, as we will head on over to Barney in the flag stand as we are racing at Le Mans.
Yeah, there they go. Obviously coming out of that corner, trying to get on throttle, and you can see some of the drivers going wide. Craig Jancic looking to make a move here, but Chris has got a nice start there. Here early, going to lead them down up to these corners here. It can be difficult on cold tires. The car doesn't quite like the turn very well. Obviously they don't have super high downforce or anything like that. They're trying to use as much speed, especially down the straightaway. So it's just got to be careful, especially through these first corners. You don't want to push out wide. You're coming down to this kind of like a sweeper right-hand turn. and you gotta be careful. You can't cut too much of the curb on the inside, and you can't run off too much, or you get that slow down this long straightaway. You lose a ton of time, but doing a good job so far. It's a single file out here. Do have a few incidents towards the back there. Got to see something happen with Todd Torville and Bailu, but definitely gonna be an interesting one here as the night goes on.
Yeah, waiting for him to come down in the first chicane after the complete lap one. We'll go back and take a look at the incidents that we've seen so far. Certainly not what Todd Torville wanted to see after he started his title defense on the top of the bronze last week at the Red Bull Ring, but looks like everyone getting into the first chicane nice and cleanly. And you really gotta get it wound down, really get it turned to the right to set up the exit so you can sweep it back to the left and hedge down the second half of the Mulsanne straight. As we'll take a look now at the second chicane here as the driver's about to enter, and Chris Hamilton's still hanging on to the lead in his Mercedes. Excuse me. As a bit of a moment there for the 17. Just hung on to it right there for Noah Coate. Or Nicholas Coate.
Yeah, I was looking at the front there, going down to that the second chicane there, or S or U, or whatever the heck you want to call it. Bourgeois was just a little heavy on the brakes and ended up tapping Chris Hamilton. No damage on the back of Chris Hamilton's car, but Bourgeois losing a few spots, sliding back to P5.
Drivers now into the Mulsanne corner, and again, one of the slowest parts of this track. You can get really close to those cones on the right-hand side entering there. But now the run to Indianapolis, and this is a very fast section of the track, just a couple little kinks, and then got to get this car rotated all the way to the right-hand side, set you up for the bank turn here at Indianapolis. And it can be really fun, especially taking at high speed, especially in the other prototype cars. It is a fun section because you can really rip around there. And if there's any place you feel some downforce at this track, it is definitely right here, as a bit of a moment back there for Ian Wilson, makes it through. But now the drivers will head to the flow portion of the track, and first up will be the Porsche curves. And waiting for them to come through here. It's such a big track. There's only so many cameras that you can even have in here, but you see how fast of a section this is.
Yeah, by this point here, the tires are starting to finally get some heat in them, and you start relying on what the car can actually do, and you're able to get in that throttle pretty easily. But like I said, it's going to be a lot of benefit, especially for like Craig Jantic, just to kind of sit behind Christopher Hamilton here in the first part of the race, and just to maybe be able to take that much less fuel. I see that they're running the new Aston Martin out there. I haven't even bought it yet, and I don't know if it drives any differently or if it's even good. But I know Craig Jantic can drive about anything. So Aston Martin out there with Craig Jantic and a few others. Bryce Reiner's running one as well. Cesar Clem Torres, Dave Tilford. So yeah, kind of a semi-popular car here tonight, along with the McLaren. Looks like it's about tied. Maybe a few more Aston Martins. Flavor of the month, Carl.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a look back at those early incidents here. And the first one, again, as I mentioned, coming into the Dunlop chicane, you see it right up there, Alain Below going off. We'll take a look here at Jay Little. He went off the track here. Certainly a lot safer than Alain here. We'll see if any kind of help or just lost it. And just lost it on cold tires, locked it up, and heavy impact to the back end there, and ended up going back into the pits. But then right after that, Todd Torville ended up getting involved in an incident here. Too much throttle coming out of the Dunlop chicane, and that is some heavy damage to the front end of the 911. Defending champion in the bronze, and your winner from last week in the Bronze Series. This was a little bit later. Oh, that's how the incident happened there with Ian Wilson. Got a little shot, a little kiss from the side, and had to go a little sideways going through there. But other than that, we're back live now as it is Chris Hamilton leading the way, Craig Jansick, Mason Smith, Ken Huber, Greg Pisano for your top 5. Bourgeois all the way back into 10th position at this point, and we'll try and take a look back and show you what Jimmy was mentioning here when Bourgeois started falling back through the field and that one. But either way, Jimmy, I mean, the fact that this many cars survived the Dunlop curves on the first lap there is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's you know, obviously it's a difficult track. One thing about this track, though, Carl, it's really easy to be kind of incident-free here. But if you do get involved in something or go wide, you got plenty of track to kind of run off. There's a few areas where the wall will come up and bite you, but for the most part, there's plenty of runoff here. You just lose a lot of time, and it's hard to gain time on this track. Like I said, almost, you know, these 3 up front, they basically they don't want to leave each other. As soon as one breaks away, you know, they're going to take off. So, say if Mason fell off and lost the back of Craig Jansick, he'd find himself kind of falling back. It'd be pretty difficult to catch up. And so you got Ken Hoover back there with Frank Pisano and Bryce Reiner. They need to like stick together, and they can't. If they want a chance to catch up to the top 3, then they're going to need to stick together and not battle each other. And you know, if somebody's a little bit faster, let them by. And try to use their speed to, you know, tow you along in order to try to catch up to the front of this pack. So the front 3 getting a nice little gap here. It does look like Bailey had an incident there, but that was his lap 1. Check it out.
Well, this is him after he came out of the pits. And we'll see what exactly happened here in the 509. And same thing that happened to Todd Torville. Ended up spinning it on the exit. You see a lot of debris on the track there. I don't know if that played a part or not, but certainly not the start that Lou wanted here. We'll get back live here.
I'm not sure if that affects the cars much. I know, you know, you get flags and stuff now for us. Like there's debris on the track, but I don't think I've ever hit a patch of sand on the track and like lost it yet. So. That's always a good thing.
I don't think I've ever lost it, like, you know, gotten loose on it. I feel like I've gotten on it and it seems like there's less grip, like you push a little bit through it. Yeah, I don't think I've gotten on it that I felt like the back end was, you know, I was going to lose the back end or anything like that. But I do feel like the front end washes out a little bit on it, just a little bit less grip. But maybe it was just me driving the corner stupidly as well. So who knows? But either way, it is a 3-car breakaway, and no surprise to who the 3 are. Chris Hamilton, Craig Jansick, Mason Smith. Once again, throw these 3 under a blanket here at the start of this thing, and with how much you can draft at this track, I mean, you got to really nail the you know, the flow section to have any shot of getting away from the competitors here. In 4th place there is Ken Huber, leading the rest of the pack here. Frank Pisano, Bryce Reiner, Javi Sierra, Tyler Torville, Cesar Colon Torres, and Jonathan Swainson for your top 10. Top running gold driver is right here, Cesar Colon Torres in the 007 as we get him back out here in the field. Leading in the silver division, Trent Playlock, trying to get it done here this week in the Ace Motorsports number 3. And then in the rookie class, as we see the top running rookie right now, is Ken Huber at the top. So good start from these drivers. We can see Trent Playlock leading quite a bit last week before he ended up having some issues. And it was, again, Todd Torville getting the class win last week in the silver. But going to be a long, long way to get back here for Todd. It looks like he is still out there with that damaged front end, and I'm sure that's not going to have too much speed down these straightaways here. Currently showing in 29th overall, 7th in class, and I'm sure this is just kind of painful for him right now. It looks like a bit of an issue there for, I'm not sure if that's Autumn on the right-hand side there, trying to take a look at the 40 of Jim Herring. So, not sure what exactly happened with Jim. I'm not seeing anything that popped up here.
He did. He missed the chicane and ended up going through the tire barrier. Just had to slow down.
This is afterwards here. After the damage, not sure where he got the front end damage. That's where Jimmy was mentioning he had to go through the chicane. Let's take you back live, and one of the closest battles on the track here is Kyle Koppler trying to hold off Jonathan Swainson now as he's moving his way up through the field. And Jimmy, you mentioned, you know, you got out there and you got some laps in. You know, what car did you fancy out there? What car do you think is kind of the right pick if you had a choice to run a car here at Le Mans, given the fact that it's, you know, probably a good 50% just straight up high speed, and you know, then that kind of the end of the lap is where you really need some downforce.
No, I took the Corvette out for a spin today, and it felt really good. You know, I'm not running no 354s or anything, but no draft for me to be anywhere near, and full tank of gas. You know, and kind of crack out a 356 is I think a pretty decent time around here. As right now they're running 355s up front, and then for your top three, and then your next drivers back are running 357s. So. I don't know. I guess maybe I would have done all right. I have time on this track. I guess that's what it leads down to. I've done a lot of practice here for the 24-hour events, the major holes. And, we got a spin there by, who was that? Jonathan Swainson was going off track, hitting the wall.
This again, the Dunlop curves collecting another victim, and this one, another one out of the chicane. So something is going on with the exit of that chicane here. That's 3 or 4 cars now that we've seen lose it as exiting the chicane. So very interesting, but
on this, be all McLarens.
Yeah, it is. So maybe the McLaren just not loving that section of the track. There we've seen Frank Jancic pretty much pushing Chris Hamilton down the straightaway. Maybe these two trying to hook up together and try to run away from Mason Smith, and certainly you can do it if you get the right setup here between these two cars. As we got 3 different manufacturers, and actually four different manufacturers for the top 4. As we got the Mercedes leading the way right now with Hamilton, Jancic, and the Aston. The Acura being driven there by Smith, and then the Corvette by Uber. Your top drivers in each of the classes is Mercedes leading the platinum. In the gold, it is Aston Martin, and the silver, a Corvette, and then in the rookie, a Corvette. So yeah, it looks like Corvette maybe not that popular here in regards to the drivers out here on the track, but it seems to certainly be a fast one out there.
Yeah, like I said, it felt really good. It had some decent speed. The corners felt good, and it just. You know, I have a little bit of time in the Corvette. We did the 24-hour event at Spa on there. Not this year, the year before. It's definitely, you know, a unique car. It's one of those cars, obviously, just you want to love it. To me, I want to love it. And it just did not have the love there for a while. I know there were some changes made to it, and it's been a little bit more popular, especially amongst some of the drivers out there before the Aston Martin showed up. Aston Martin being the flavor of the month. Like I said, I haven't got a chance to get in there and give it a test drive and really kind of see what it's about. It's not, I don't think it's the prettiest looking of the GT3s, but definitely not too terrible. You can get a nice paint job on it. So maybe one of those cars I'll pick up and take the time and slap a good old CRM paint on there and see what kind of times we can, you know, look good, go, you know, look good, go good, or go fast or whatever. So
look fast, go fast.
Just try to, look fast, go fast. So it's just definitely a car that's intriguing since it's new. So I'd like to kind of check it out. It is amazing how many different GT3s are, and you know, and they all drive a little bit different, you know, depending on the horsepower for the car, where the engine's placed in the car. All those things kind of take effect of the way they drive. So Yeah, definitely be interested in getting in the Aston Martin. I did run the Aston Martin, what was it? I think it's a GT1 car.
Yeah.
So it's an older car that they have out there. So, you know, was able to run that, but you drove on the right side of the car, on that one car.
Yeah, I don't know what this Aston Martin is. I haven't purchased it myself yet, but visually it kind of looks like Mercedes and BMW kind of had a baby. And luckily, it didn't have the throat of the BMW. It actually has a sound in the car as compared to the BMW being just a low hum. I almost feel like they made the BMW thinking it was an EV car. I barely hear anything at all. But looks like our top two have stretched away from Mason Smith here a little bit on this last lap and really kind of the beginning of this lap here on lap number 5. But we are a third of the way through this race. A whole 4 laps completed, but we got a battle for the lead here. It looks like Jancic tired of being behind Hamilton, and he wants to maybe try and stretch it out himself. Or maybe he wants Hamilton to push him a little bit, but it's still side by side heading down to the first chicane. Hamilton's going to back out of it here, fall in line. We'll see if he puts up any kind of fight, or maybe these two are going to work together and work the fuel mileage to stay away from Mason Smith. Good rotation there through the first chicane. And Jancic already trying to stretch away. It's a half a second lead, not enough to get away from Hamilton. I just see that lead slowly coming down with all this drafting he can do.
Yeah, I think you know, Hamilton's going to use full advantage of that draft. He'll stay within that half a second, lift early, you know, try and end up just kind of coasting a little deeper into the corners, and you know, use maybe a gear up or down or whatever, and try to hang in there and save fuel. So he was out front, pedal in the middle, trying to keep Craig Jancic behind. But you can see right now as they work together, they, you know, when Jancic went outside, you know, Hamilton just kind of left it, you know, let it go, or maybe lift it just a little bit, just to make that much easier. You don't need to fight with your competitors at this point in the race, especially when you're up front. You know, there's only one position. You're not trying to track down the leader. You are with the leader. So, oh, Jancic gets off in the gravel. That's gonna stir things up a little bit. But
on this,
it looks like Hamilton's just gonna push him.
Yeah, Hamilton easily had a chance to get a rebuttal and get back to the lead, but deciding, you know what, let's keep this a 2-car race, get away from Mason Smith. He's tucks in behind Craig Jancic. We'll see if this maybe ultimately costs Hamilton a chance at the win, though, because we've seen before Hamilton have a fast car, but once Jancic got by him, it was hard for Hamilton to kind of get back at him. And you see again, Craig Jancic running a little bit wide. I'm wondering if, I mean, certainly the off-track I don't think was by design, but I'm wondering right here if, you know, some of these wide corners and some of these quote-unquote mistakes are to try and get Hamilton back in front, because we've seen more often than not Jancic nails the pit stops, and he's able to get in and out quicker than just about anybody in the entire field. This is why I think Hamilton is content sticking behind him right now, trying to save some fuel, trying to negate the advantage that it seems like every race Jancic has in pit lane.
Yeah, Craig's just been pretty on top of this game when it came to the pit stops, you know, all last season, and I wasn't here last week, but I would imagine that it continues. So, you know, pit stops are coming up, I think, here very, very shortly. You know, they're about that halfway mark. You're not saving much fuel here. You can save fuel, but the only way to save fuel is to
how about this?
Ahead, but
pit stops indeed. Jancic into the pits. Hamilton and Mason Smith go on, and we'll see if Jancic going with the short pit is better, or if right here Hamilton and Smith are better off going for the longer run. And to me, this seems maybe a bit early, Jimmy. I know they, you know, they're flat on the gas for a long time here, but you figure they can make it at least to the halfway point here. We're not even at that yet. By the end of this lap, we will be, though. So maybe, you know, just one extra lap here is a difference. We see Jancic in the pits. Looks like Nicholas Cote in the pits as well. And everybody else staying out for another spin. So, I don't know. We'll see what strategy is the best, but I know right now Hamilton probably wishes that Mason Smith was still with them to help him with a little bit of drafting.
Yeah, I'm sure he's looking, he would love to have Mason Smith up there, kind of even push him along, you know. But they're gonna get out there, and I'm sure light on fuel. Should have a better lap than Craig, but Craig's always fast. And we'll see how it all pans out here when looks like Hamilton's time to come down the pits and execute his pit stop. So, but right now these two are just kind of gliding to the end here, ready to get into the pits there. I'm sure for the rest of their fuel for the race. Got about 23 minutes to go here. Chris Hamilton's out front with Mason Smith, Ken Hoover, Frank Pisano, obviously your top five.
We got a battle for that top five right now as Pisano gets passed by Sierra, heading down the Mulsanne straight to the second chicane here as Pisano didn't exactly have a good first chicane. So he's going to tuck back in line in fifth as we get a little bit of a train here. Ken Hoover left these guys a little bit. He's a little bit up the road there, but you got Sierra, Pisano, Tyler Torville, and Reiner all in line here from fourth back to seventh. Back a little bit further in the field, and maybe a little bit of a battle room here between Glenn Lizon in 12th position. Steve Santana right behind him, trying to run down in 13th. And then Bourgeois back here in 24th position, now moving up to 23rd. He has made his pit stop, but compared to Craig Jansick, he is 37 seconds behind. So, I mean, it's amazing how well you can drive on one track, and then how poor you look at the next track. I mean, the way that Bourgeois started this season with the dominating win at Red Bull Ring. I mean, he absolutely did not look back once he got the lead. It was never in question. But here, it's a completely different person.
Yeah, it varies from track to track. This track here, as much as I love it, I could, wish I was better. There's just a few areas, corners just really do get me. And it's, overdriving. You're trying to not overdrive, so you go in too slow, or you overdrive, and it's your car's pushing through the corner, and it feels like crap. So it's not something. It's a fine line, and you need the experience. And this track's so long. iRacing has put in an option for drivers to, do an active reset. So if you got a corner that's constantly giving you problems, you can set a test session, and you can set those active points and run the corner over and over again. Because in the old days, not too far long ago, you had to just go all the way around the track and do it again. It's 4 minutes later. So
yeah, and when it's the last corner on the track, it sucks. If it's turn one, okay, he can do that and you can restart. But when it's that last corner, especially at a track like here or Nürburgring, when it's turn number 130, it sucks. But
yeah, it definitely sucks at the Nürburgring. Probably the best tool known to a racer here in iRacing is that reset tool, especially for the Nürburgring. But just like I said, I told a few drivers or people I'm talking to, just don't race officials much anymore. The rig sits here, I log in and I broadcast, and I enjoy watching the races, but I really don't drop the wheel very often until it comes to a week out or 2 weeks out from like an endurance race, and then I'm like in my rig like every day, just putting laps in on the track, maybe throw the AI on there, get some traffic. When the sessions start to go live for live practices, I'll get up there, get around some competitors, but that's where I focus these days as far as my racing goes on iRacing. But I still enjoy it, and I just I love just watching people race, just watching people compete and see how well they can do and how well they do one week and how well they might not do the next week. And that's the story here for Noah Bourgeois. So just having a great, fantastic week last week, and just one minor mistake setting him back here after having a pretty good start. I mean, he's currently down. He's moving by some of the people in the pits now as he's still out there.
Looks like he's back up in 15th.
To go the rest of the way? I don't know. What's that?
It looks like he's back up to 15th, coming in on lap number 2. As you've seen, Craig Jansick is back into the lead, 2.6 seconds over Mason Smith, who gets ahead of Chris Hamilton, as he is 2.5 seconds ahead of Chris Hamilton. Hamilton's pit stop again. pit stop issues. We'll take a look at the time here. Looks like I don't think I've seen anybody with a pit road penalty. Looks like Glenn Zahn was in there for quite some time, but I believe we were taking some damage, or what the case is. It's long enough to be a penalty. But we look at the pit times for your leaders, and it tells a story. I mean, Jancic in and out, 17.8. Mason Smith even a little bit faster, 17.7. Chris Hamilton, 23.3. Jimmy, that is a massive, massive difference.
Well, I mean, it maybe equates to on the track, so it's, you know, Chris had to run the fuel, and he even stayed out one more lap, so he was out front in that clean air, all that jazz. So now, you know, he has to drive that car hard in order to catch back up to, you know, his competitors. And I'm sure if we get a chance to talk to him here tonight, as you know, is still in that podium position, but you know, he's got to kick himself in the butt again, and just, you know, I don't know if it's in his mind. I don't know. You know, he's fast. We race with him continuously. And it's not like his pit stop was horrible. Well, that one might have been horrible compared to, you know, everybody else, but typically it's not that far off. I mean, that's a chunk. I mean, 5 seconds, and that could have been you overshot the pits, or something like that, you know, and or maybe just being a little more cautious coming in, so you don't get that black flag. And then that is pit lane time.
That is his pit time. That's not pit lane time. That is his time in his pit box. Right there, so yeah, so that is I mean, a good 6 seconds longer than his competitors there. So I don't know if he took too much fuel. Maybe he had too much fuel recorded. Maybe he's planning on this thing going an extra lap, because, you know, an extra lap of fuel here isn't quite a bit of fuel. I mean, it's not a small amount, so it is it's a good amount. So maybe that's the difference. Maybe he's expecting this thing to go an extra lap, but I'm sure we'll see Jancic back off the pace if he has to make sure that it doesn't go that extra lap. But he's the one out there in clean air right now. He's the one using up you know, a lot of fuel, possibly, unless he's doing some saving. We've seen him be able to put in some crazy lap times and still save. It still doesn't make any sense to me, but it's been a good one here already for the CSRL round number 2 for the GT series. I want to thank our sponsors out there: 40 Racewear, SimHub, Martin PC, DSS. I mean, it's, again, can't say enough about sponsors hopping on board. I say it time and time again, and I'll keep saying it. Sponsors really make it easier for the leagues to just focus on what they need to do. Focus on just getting in here, you know, getting the other drivers the right setups and getting them everything. Just it's less to worry about. I mean, as a league owner myself, just even one sponsor can make or break everything for you. It's just amazing to have it. The fact that they have so many sponsors on board here in CSRL is absolutely fantastic. And they even got the extra sponsors like the Chris Burrell hard charger sandbagger award at the end of the race as well. You got the Ace Motorsports fastest lap of the race. I mean, it's amazing how much that we got going on out there. But as of right now, you see on the track map the field kind of spread out here a little bit. Looking at one of the battles here with Christian Ortiz Torres. He's got Dave Tilford and Kyle Cobbler behind him. Look up here at another 3-car battle. There we go with Javi Sierra, Tyler Torville, and Frank Pisano. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th on the track. Looks like Tilford and Cobbler close to a battle. We'll see if anyone steps out of line. Looks like we're going to stay in line here heading into the first chicane. And then back a little bit further, you got David Wells trying to chase down Steve Santana. Again, not sure what happened with Len Lezon. A longer pit stop for him as he was in his pit lane. You want to talk about Hamilton being there for 23 seconds. Lezon was in there for 40. Scott lost him here, and the 97 getting back going here.
Yeah, just lost that rear end.
It was right after we got off of here, as it's coming out of the first chicane, and we're just catching that curbing just the wrong straightaway, backs it into the wall. Luckily, the spoiler stays intact. And he's going to get away, but he's going to lose a lot of time and a spot there in Trent Blaylock as well. Blaylock still leading in the silver class as Cesar Clone Torres leading still in the gold. Jancic in front and on top of the boards. Huber, great run still up there in fourth position. Obviously, you're in second for the rookies. But I want to thank our fans out there at Sierra Nation as well. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like, subscribe, and get you in touch with everything that Sierra has to offer. We're in the late stages now. We're 2/3 of the way through this race. Jancic, Smith, Hamilton, Huber, and Reiner for your top 5. Sierra, Tyler Torville, Pisano, Cologne Torres, and Ortiz Torres for your top 10.
Yeah, it's obviously an exciting night here, and you're looking at some of your drivers, looking at who's made their way to the field, though. Bill Burrell up 10 spots, currently sitting in the 17th spot, and then Renan Dilemma back there in about 22nd up 11 spots. So a few drivers having a lot better race than maybe they're qualifying and working their way through the field here, and obviously a few drivers towards the back having not so good nights there. It just looks like Bourgeois is parked it for the evening. Nicholas Cote is back there a little bit behind as well, and Jim Herrick is not having a good evening as well. Jonathan Swayzen, so definitely a few cars in trouble here tonight. We do have a caution flag out for Jay Little, so Jay Little maybe just off track or something, but back and going again.
You see what happened there. So Nicholas Cote ended up towing it back to pit lane from there. But out front, it is a 2.5 second lead. It's coming down a little bit as for some reason the camera is locked. There we go. Get back in there as lead coming down just a little bit as Mason Smith ran about a 1/4 second faster than Craig Jancic. Chris Hamilton ran about a 1/2 second faster than Mason Smith. So quite possibly the extra fuel is giving Chris a chance to really open that throttle up and try and run these drivers down. Remember, he came out about a total of 5 seconds, almost 6 seconds behind Craig Jancic. That's down under 4 seconds.
Yeah, you just got to work hard, and so you got to make up that 3 seconds, and then hopefully it beat your car up too much to try to get around Craig Jancic. There's a lot of long straightaways here, and it's when do you want to be in front? When do you want to make that move to get by? But right now, it would be obviously behoove Craig Jancic to hopefully catch up here to Mason Smith real quick and just push until you get up to the back and give each of those drivers a shot at the win here tonight, because as of right now it's going to take quite a bit to make up them 3 seconds here in a matter of 12 minutes. So if you're only talking a couple tenths here and there, maybe 2 tenths per lap, it's a pretty big feat. So you gotta catch up to Craig, and Craig's on a mission right now to get that victory here this week, and doing a pretty good job right now as he's 3.5 seconds ahead of Mason Smith and Christopher Hamilton. But then back through the rest of the field, you got Ken Hug, Hubert, Bryce Reiner, Javi Sierra, Tyler Torrell, Frank Pisano, Cesar Torres, Christian Torres for your top 10. Looks like Autumn had just a crash as well.
Take a look here at Autumn McLaren, and looks like the same spot that we've seen Nicholas Cote spinning around. But gonna get that thing back turned around and going, and one of the I believe the only Audi in the field out here for McLaren. As we look at a pretty good battle here between Santana, Wells, and Potts. This is back here 14th, 15th, and 16th. Santana second in line here in the silver class, but he is he's a good about 8 seconds, actually 9 seconds behind Trent Blaylock, who has yet to put a foot wrong here tonight. Blaylock doing a good job, looking to kind of bounce back after having a chance last week at taking the silver class win, and doing a fantastic job here tonight, leading the silver class. And just outside the top 10 as well, in 12th place currently in the silver class, top running. Gold class driver right here, Cesar Colon Torres, has got a 10-second lead over Christian Ortiz Torres. So certainly the 007 happy to be back out here in the field and to take down another win here in class. But I believe this is, unless I'm mistaken, I forget if he was in the other gold class or if he was in the other silver class last year. But either way, Cesar Colon Torres looking good here tonight in the Aston Martin. But none better than Craig Jancic at the front. However, it's now a two-car tandem as Chris Hamilton has caught Mason Smith. They are combined 2.3 seconds behind your leader. Now, we talked about it before, you know, about Chris Hamilton gained about 0.7 of a second on the previous lap, and 0.7 of a second is a lot at most tracks. But I mean, we're down to probably maybe 3 laps to go here because the laps being so long. So, you know, 0.7 of a second isn't enough. However, this last lap by Hamilton with a 54.25, Craig Jancic a 55.5, a 1.25 second gain on Craig Jancic there by Chris Hamilton, running at the fastest lap of the race. Why a damn big margin too, Jimmy. I mean, he is a full second faster than Mason Smith's fastest lap. So Hamilton, you want to talk about Jancic on a mission? I think Hamilton's on a mission here tonight. He's finally back in the car, and he is looking to push Mason Smith up there so he can get the drafting help that he needs to catch up to Jancic.
Yeah, I mean, and it's what he needs. They need to work together. As soon as they step out from each other in battle, it's all over. So if Chris Hamilton were to get a run, it would be behoove of Mason just to let it happen, or block him before he even thinks about getting by. But right now, these two need to work together, or they will not catch Craig Jancic. That's just inevitable. And those two, obviously, they know each other, but they're not, immoral enemies or anything. So I think they're going to work together. I really do. I mean, that's their opportunity. That's their shot. Now, if it's on the last lap, I think the friendship kind of goes out the window, elbows out, and see who can come in and P number 2. But right now, if they want a chance at the win here tonight, they're going to need to work together.
You can see right there, Hamilton getting up there, giving a little tap to the back end of Mason Smith to help them get faster down the straightaways here. A bit of a bobble by Mason Smith, and here is the pass as Mason Smith is now going to be the one tucking in behind Chris Hamilton as they'll try and run down Craig Jancic, who was stretched out here a little bit. Maybe Jancic was saving a little bit of fuel those last couple laps because, again, he did take a lot less time in the pits compared to Hamilton. I don't think Hamilton needs to save anything at all, and again, maybe taking that extra lap of fuel would be the difference, but you never know. He may need that extra lap of fuel, and these other two may end up running out. So we'll see how this thing plays out, and when that clock goes to 0, we get the white flag. Right now, it is about 2.6 seconds between Jancic and the battle between Hamilton and Mason Smith. Back a little bit further in the field, Frank Bassano is up here trying to get around Tyler Torville. Todd Torville, on the other hand, not having a good night that he had on night number 1. This is heading again into, or exiting the Dunlop curves, and the same thing happening again, getting loose out of the corner. Jimmy, you talked about the active reset. I think there's a lot of drivers that may need to work that active reset on the exit of the Dunlop curve here. It's I mean, now we've seen quite a few different manufacturers that spin the tires coming out of there. I mean, right there we've seen the Mercedes lose it. Earlier we've seen I think the Aston Martin lose it. The McLaren we've seen lose it a couple times. So it's not manufacturer dependent anymore. It's just a tough curve.
Yeah, it's a tough curve. I mean, it's just a weird angle. You come up around there and you're trying to get on it, and you just find yourself a little bit short. But it leads down to now under 2 seconds, with probably at least they're going to do this one and at least one more, Carl. So at least 2 more laps to go here at Le Mans. So, but I'm going to have to catch a flight and head over to Richmond and start up things and get the candy packs ready for our friends over at Pit Road Speed Limit Racing here, as they will take on Richmond for 120 laps. So in the Gen 6 car. So when you're done watching a great show over here with Carl and CSRL, make sure you come on and stop by and see what's going on over there at Pit Road Speed Limit Racing, as they bring out they bring back the Gen 6 cars there for a NASCAR event at Richmond. So tuck out of here, Carl. Good luck with the rest of the race. Wish all the rest of the drivers the best of luck, and hopefully you have the finish that you wanted. So congratulations to those that were here tonight, and I will catch you on the other channel.
Sounds good, buddy. As yeah, we're shaping up to have a good finish here, and you look at when they crossed the line and what we got left here. I think Jancic and Mason Smith were maybe planning on this thing going to the white flag that time by, and maybe or maybe not the white flag that time by, the white flag this time by, but I don't know if we're going to get it because of where the time is falling here. I wonder if Jancic needs to back up this pace, because if they don't get the white flag this time by, I'm not sure if they have the fuel to get one more lap. If it's 2 laps to go instead of 1, this could be very interesting, and this could be where Hamilton has the advantage to get all the way to the end. But if that's the case, we're going to have a lot of drivers that may not have that time, because it looks like a lot of drivers taking the same amount of fuel as leaders Jancic and Smith. But it is 2 seconds separating Jancic from Hamilton and Smith. Another battle back in the pack. We were keeping an eye on it earlier, as now Glenn Lazon moves out to try and get past William Morel into the first chicane. Looks like he's going to try to work his way back up through the field. Biggest mover of the race so far. We're in a dilemma in that the 82 is up 11 spots. Started 33rd in the field, up 11 spots currently. But certainly want to keep an eye, at least one eye, on those leaders up there. We're looking a little further back in the pack, as Michael Ray Gallen looking to run down fearless leader here in CSRL, and that is Jim Dutton and the 83 Aston Martin. I think he needs to find a Simpsons paint scheme or a sign. He's got the Tim Hortons on there. He's got the Canadian flag, certainly representing the home country there, but it doesn't stick out as much as that pink Porsche that he normally has, and it's a little bit harder to find him on track. And maybe that's a good thing. Just keeping them flying under the radar. But we'll head back up to our leaders here as they head through the Porsche curve. We're going to keep an eye on them, but more importantly, going to keep an eye on Barney and see if he's got that white flag out or not. I would think this time by, we should be getting the white flag. I don't see why we wouldn't, but this is it's not over just yet. It's under 2 seconds, as mentioned. You see Hamilton maybe leaving Mason Smith behind here a little bit, trying to catch up to Jancic. It's down to 1.8 seconds heading into the 4 chicanes, and we'll get it over to Barney. And well, we've seen it before that sometimes this Barney doesn't show the white flag, but I'm not seeing any white flags. That doesn't make sense to me. It should be the white flag, and we've seen it before, and I think particularly here we've seen it that the white flag doesn't actually show for whatever reason. I believe it should be the white flag here. It should be the last lap. We'll see how it plays out. It's down to 1.6 seconds now, as Hamilton trying to catch up to Jancic, trying to get any chance of a draft down this straightaway. He's left Mason Smith 1.3 seconds behind. Ken Huber in 4th place, but he's another 18 seconds or 15 seconds back. Bryce Reiner, Javi Sierra, Frank Pisano, Tyler Torville, Cesar Colon Torres, and Christopher Ortiz Torres for your top 10. I mean, really good retention of drivers. Not too many drivers have quit out of the race right now. Of the 37 that started the race, looks like we still have 33 drivers left in the race, with Noah Bourgeois, Nicholas Cote, Jim Herrick, Jonathan Swainson, the only ones that have dropped out of the field. But it's close enough that Hamilton can see it. He can reach out there, he can touch it. But I'm wondering right now, not only did he have that slow pit stop, but how much is it playing on his mind that he helped Jancic stretch away from Mason Smith earlier on in this race. And now that gap could be a lot smaller between these three cars, and it could definitely be within drafting range from everybody here. I wonder if he's kind of regretting that and looking back and saying that this is where I possibly lost the race, let alone taking the extra fuel in the pits. But we'll see if that was the case when we get the interviews here tonight or not. But again, I wish there was something that would show as the white flag, if we're actually on the white flag lap or not, just so I know if we're calling another lap here or not. I wouldn't see why they'd be going another lap. This should be the white flag, as Jancic now on the run to Indianapolis. It's down to less than 1.5 seconds, but it's still a big enough gap that Jancic can manage it here to the end. Looking at the other classes, Cesar Colon Torres has got a pretty sizable lead over Christian Ortiz Torres, and even a car in between, as he is 12.5 seconds ahead in the silver class. Trent Blaylock is 19, almost 20 seconds ahead of John Espada, but Espada doing a great job there in second place. As we look at a little bit of dust flying up there from Mason Smith heading on the exit of Indianapolis, but keeping it on the track here is Craig Jancic, 1.25 seconds as we head to the Porsche curves. We'll take a look here real quick as Dave Tilford will be getting into it here with Christian Ortiz Torres heading down into Mulsanne corner, and certainly some rushing going on, and then Tilford loses it out of the corner. Some hard-nosed racing right there. Tilford gets a turn back around, heading through the Porsche curves. Jancic cruising through here, 1 second lead, but it's enough. It looks like maybe Mason Smith falling off the back here a little bit. Not sure if he's got a save or not, but Jancic now into the Corvette curves. He's just got the 4 chicanes to go, and try and take a look at Barney here one more time and see what exactly is going on. But here it is out of the final corner. It is the checkered flag, as Jancic gonna get the win. Hamilton in second. Mason Smith looks like he might have limped that thing over the line in third. We'll take it over to Ken Huber coming through the 4 chicanes himself. He's gonna come home in a very respectable 4th place. Bryce Reiner right behind him in 5th. Javi Sierra gonna come home with another top 5 as well in 6th place. Good battle all the way to the line here. Literally to the line, as Frank Pisano is going to hold off Tyler Torville for 7th and 8th. Cesar Colon Torres gets the gold class win here tonight. Christian Ortiz Torres now coming through after that battle with Dave Tilford for the top 10 spot. Ortiz Torres is going to hold on and finish in 10th as we wait for the rest of the field to finish up. But heck of a run from this entire field here. We'll see if there's any other battles going on, as Trent Blaylock is going to be your silver class winner here by a big margin as he finishes in 12th position. Maybe a late battle here between Jim Dutton and Michael Ray Gallen. He's back here in 23rd and 24th, as Dutton maybe trying to hold on here, as it's getting close, very close here to the end. I'm not sure if Dutton has to save any kind of fuel, but this is about 1.5 seconds when I originally looked at it. It's certainly a lot closer right now. We'll head to the 4 chicanes, and it is going to be enough here, as Jim Dutton is going to hold them off. Finish in 23rd position. Todd Torville certainly not the night that he wanted to have in the silver class. It is going to come home with a top 5 in class back there in 27th. Going to finish in 5th for his silver class, but certainly not the night like he had at the Red Bull Ring in round number 1. As the final few finish up here, we got Ian Wilson, Stephen Price, looks like Paul Bailey heading down towards Indianapolis right now as it's out here a little bit in the good-looking Heineken Aston Martin right there. As a way for him to finish, that'll give us our final results here for tonight. But while we wait for Paul Bailey and the last few drivers to cross the lines here, we'll give our rundown of the sponsors here that we want to thank for the season. That being 40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 sim racing shoes custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, while still providing the comfort needed for those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products, including the original racing gloves for your feet. For Martin PC, they're focused on providing high-quality PCs, rigs, and components at an affordable price. Your investment in sim racing is exactly the same as racing with an actual car, and they take that same methodology at Martin. From the engine PC to the chassis, rig, pedals, wheels, and shifter, you deserve components that match your desire to compete. Also, a shout-out and thanks to Digital Sim Sports, as they are the sponsor of the moment of the race, and be really interesting to see what the moment of race is here that we will see next week. Ace Motorsports, the sponsor of the fastest lap of the race, we'll get an official reading on who that is here in a bit. Sim Racing Hub, and then also the Chris Burrell Hard Charger Award, which tonight, unless I'm mistaken, which I have been before, looks like it should go to Renan Dilemma in the number 82 as he finished up 11 spots. But we'll get to our interviews here in a second. Want to send a shout out and a thanks to all the fans out there in CRN Nation as well. And again, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe, get you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer, as we'll get these drivers in here for their interviews, and then we'll wrap up the proceedings here tonight, and then I'll head over to join Jimmy for the pit road speed limit. All right, it looks like we got most of our top finishers here tonight. We will start with our silver class winner and make sure we got everybody in here. Yep, okay, we do. Yeah, so we will we'll start with our silver class winner, and that is, because hey, there we go. If it wants to work on me, that is yep, there it is. It's going to be the driver of the 3, Trent Blaylock, having some issues here on this side. But Trent, certainly a little bit better finish for you here tonight compared to Red Bull Ring last week. You led some time at Red Bull Ring. Looked like you had a chance of getting the silver class win there. But tonight, you're able to pull through and get the silver class win, finishing up there in 12th position.
Oh, yeah. It was a good race. I picked Corvette. My Porsche, I just couldn't get a handle on it on this track, but Corvette was kind of slow on the straights, but it worked out.
Yeah, it seemed like, I mean, at least from my my co-commentator Jimmy mentioning, you know, he got out here and tried the Porsche, and he said it seemed like a good overall car for this track, and really not too many drivers out here in the Corvette, but the ones that were seem to be towards the top of the standings. I mean, I'm seeing looks like 3 Corvettes here in the top 13, and it was good enough to get you the class win here tonight. You know, certainly Le Mans is a lot different than starting at Red Bull Ring. So, is it just you felt this a little bit better here? Did you have a little bit more laps here, or what was that got you the win here tonight?
Nah, I ain't really practiced a whole lot this season. I've kind of switched back to the LMP2s. I like racing them, so I ain't practiced a whole lot. I hopped in for maybe 30 minutes earlier today before I hopped in the race. But
apparently that's all you really need is just to get out here and get a few laps in. But this is it's gonna be a fun track, and it can be a little nerve-wracking, especially on those first couple corners of the lap. And we've seen a lot of drivers have some issues getting out of the Dunlop chicane, that turn number 3 there. Did you have any issues yourself? Was it a little slick going through there, just getting that power down?
Not with the Corvette. The Corvette, it was real stable. That's why I picked it. I didn't have no problems slipping anywhere, so.
Well, it certainly, again, worked out very well for you here tonight. So congrats on the top spot in the silver class. Who do you want to give a shout-out to or thanks to before we let you go?
Well, I'm going to give a shout-out to my wife, most and foremost, and then I'd like to give a shout-out to Ace Motorsports. Without them guys, I wouldn't be as fast as I was. And a shout-out to Jim and Craig for putting this on. And shout-out to y'all in the booth for broadcasting it.
I really appreciate that, buddy. We'll let you get out of here. We'll see if you can come back and get another top spot next week.
All right, I appreciate it.
That is your silver class winner here tonight, the 3 of Trent Blalock. Unfortunately, we're not going to have our Chris Burrell Hard Charger / Sandbagger Award winner, Brennan Dilemma, here tonight, running a little bit late. Not sure if maybe we got to get out there and spend a little time with Coda before the night is over. But congrats to Brennan on the award here tonight. But our top spot in the gold division, the gold class, is going to go to the 007 of Cesar Colon Torres. Cesar, welcome back, and welcome back to the top spot as well. And in the gold class here, what was it that got it done? Not only a top spot in the gold, but a top 10 overall here at Le Mans.
I think just a lot of tire management and understanding this new Aston GT3. I've been racing nothing but it, and it is probably one of my new favorites. And sadly, I just noticed that my paint didn't load for the whole race, but we'll get it for the next one.
I was going to say, I'm disappointed. I see a stock paint scheme on there that is not allowed. I feel like we need to give the top spot to Christian Ortiz Torres. Just forget it. You can't give us a good looking paint scheme. All right, you didn't earn this.
Get me out of here.
Well, I mean, you did earn it though. At the end of the day, this is this can be, even though it's 45 minutes and it's only damn near it's 12 laps. I mean, how many races can you do a full race just being 12 laps, other than I guess here, and maybe I guess if you did the Nürburgring, it'd probably be like 6 laps. But I mean, either way, it's a grueling 12 laps here.
It is. It's a long 12. You got to break it down into sectors and try and remember every section of it. And that Porsche curves on the stock fixed setup gets real light. So I was having a lot of struggles through there. But apart from that, it's a heck of a track. I love getting out here and doing these full 4.5, 7. I don't know how many miles this is. I love this track though.
No matter how long it is, you got it done here tonight, and again, a top 10 overall as well, and really kind of a dominating performance here in the gold, winning by a pretty good margin. So congrats on the win here tonight in the 007. I expect the paint scheme for next time you're out here, whether you're in the top spot or not. I mean, well, then again, maybe not. I mean, it worked. It worked.
I got one fully customized and created for this. I'm so mad I didn't show up.
All right, so in mind, you're looking fast. It just wasn't looking fast on the screen here tonight. Either way, congrats on the win. Before we let you go and get out of here, who do we have a shout out to or thanks to?
Shout out and thanks to everyone that's all the sponsors, everyone that runs this, you guys that do the broadcasting, and of course my girlfriend who just got home with dinner. So I'm gonna go over there and get some of that. Thank you all. You guys are awesome.
All right, buddy. Well, take some time, celebrate this one. We'll let you go celebrate, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. That is your top finisher in the gold class, Cesar Colon Torres. Was going to try and get our top 3 overall here tonight. Looks like Mason Smith not in the session here, just because we had some extra time since we didn't have the Sandbagger Award winner tonight. But we're going to go ahead and bring in our second place finisher here tonight, and that is the 64 of Chris Hamilton. Chris, you had a different strategy in the pits. I guess first question is, was it planned? Were you expecting maybe an extra lap out here tonight?
It definitely wasn't planned. I will tell you that.
Well, it was a different approach to the situation for sure. I guess that the second question is, given how everything played out here tonight, you finished only 2.5 seconds behind Jancic. Technically, it was less than a second, I think, at the end before you just kind of let off and let him have it at the end there. But do you regret anything at the beginning of the race and kind of you two working together, pushing and getting away from Mason Smith? Do you feel like if you didn't do that in the beginning, maybe you would have had a better chance at the end?
No, I don't regret any of it, actually. It was all in the pits. That's where I lost the race. Actually, the reason why I slowed down at the very end, because I had a 1.1 seconds of black because I cut it too short, sending it too hard. But Craig was, and he'll explain more earlier, we were talking about it after the race. He was really sipping on fuel, maybe a little too much, and I was the complete opposite. It was, when I saw how far behind I was, it was just like, red line it is. If I leave anything on the table, I will not feel good about it. And that last bit, I just sent it as hard as I could, redlining it, braking super hard, just like not even taking it easy into the entry in Indianapolis. I was just lifting into there, just on the limit as much as I could.
Well, you almost got it done here tonight in your debut for season 14. You put that thing on the pole, so you certainly were fast out there, and not by a little bit. I mean, you were fast even in the race here. Unless I'm mistaken, guys, I've been mistaken before, but I have you as the fastest lap of the race, and not by a little bit, by almost an exact full second over everybody else out there. I know maybe some were saving a little bit of fuel, but I mean, a 54.25 is nothing to shake at here at Le Mans.
I probably draft helped out a little bit with that one. But it's this season, I don't know. Work is going to be crazy, and I don't know if or when my work schedule is. At least, luckily for the next 2 weeks, I'm good. So we might be able to make a championship run, but I'm not counting on it. So this season is working on pit stops, and I already know where I need to figure it out. I can get entries, I can get exits. It's how much fuel I'm actually taking. So I gotta figure that out.
Well, luckily for you, myself and David will be in the car with you this weekend for the Petit Le Mans, so we can set the fuel for you. And for the most part, it's going to be full tanks anyway. But either way, it's one less thing you got to worry about being in the car. But you finish here in second, so it's nothing really that bad. It's just I'm sure you're maybe getting tired of seeing that 88 at the top of the boards, and would love to put a W on the boards. But either way, second place here tonight. Before we let you go and get out of here, who are you going to be shout out to or thanks to?
Huge shout out to Ryan McCauley, who painted this fun Genshin Impact one. We might do with the car slots open. I don't know what I'm going to run, but at least if I don't know what it is, I'm probably going to go Merc. Beautiful car. Love driving it. It is really transformed in this update, and it feels fantastic to drive. I encourage those who are wondering about GT3s, if they were wondering about it, the Merc is great. Huge shout out to all the guys here at CSRL. They put on a really good but competitive league. We got racing of all skill levels. So I know the other guys, even like in the other divisions, they have hard battles just as much as I have a hard battle with Craig at in the Platinum division, and all of the other guys. And thank you for the broadcast, Carl. Hope you had fun.
Absolutely did, for sure. So congrats again on your second place here tonight. We'll let you get out of here. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
That is your second place finisher overall, Chris Hamilton, and the 64. We'll quickly get in our third place finisher, Mason Smith, in the 6. Mason, first of all, did you feel left out in the start of that race as both Chris and Craig decided, you know what, we don't like you anymore, we're just going to pull away from you?
Well, I guess it had to do with the car was running. Maybe, who knows?
Well, I mean, you fell back a little bit from them since they were kind of tag teaming and drafting and bumping each other through the first half of the race, but you didn't really fall back that far, and you still played a part in the end of this thing. You come out of the pits, a really good pit stop, and even faster than Jancic, able to get out there and come out in second place and only 2.5 seconds behind the leader, and with Chris Hamilton's help out at the end. You maybe had a chance, but did you have to do a little fuel saving at the end of this race?
Towards the end, yeah. Because like I said, I was just trying to push and get as much as I can with the Acura, but it wasn't really enough. I think really it was just lacking a bit of speed. Because Chris, I'm like looking at the review and it's just Chris, he would be catching me by the straights, or Chris and Jen, they would just pull away. So the Acura, maybe not the best car choice here, because again it felt a little underwhelming than what it used to be. It just, it fell off very, very hard from like last season or two.
I know, certainly when a new car comes out like the Aston Martin, usually it gets the most love, both from the drivers driving it, but also from iRacing trying to pump up the numbers and get more people in the car, I'm sure. But either way, it gets you to a third place here tonight. Not a shabby result, and certainly keeping you up there in the points battle. So before we let you go and get out of here, who do we give a shout out to or thanks to?
To my family that watches, and to y'all guys on the broadcast. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you for the good race here once again. We'll let you go celebrate, and we'll see you next week in Mexico.
Thank you.
That is your third place finisher here tonight, the 6 of Mason Smith. Last but not least, we will bring in your winner here tonight, and that is going to be the 88 of Craig Jansen. Craig, certainly some tandem drafting between you and Hamilton in the beginning of this race. Got you guys a little bit of a gap between you guys and Mason Smith, and at least in the beginning made it a 2-car battle, but a little fuel saving kind of made it almost a 3-car battle again at the end.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you the truth. It's very rare, specifically in these 45-minute races, that you start to get an idea and it actually comes like perfectly to fruition. But at the beginning of this race, it actually kind of did. I had kind of seen in practice that where Mason was going to struggle with the Acura was like the second half of the lap minus the final chicane coming onto the front straightaway. And I knew that if I was going to be able to break draft, I was going to have break draft the Mason behind me, that is, and it was only Chris in front of me. That if I was able to actually clear Chris, I was going to pit the exact next lap, no matter what lap it was. If it was lap 2, whatever, that may have been a different story. But if I was able to clear them and get them separated so that I was able to pit and kind of come out in my own area, which I did, and Chris, who was leading the whole time, was kind of stranded out there, really not doing a whole lot of fuel saving. Wasn't going to be able to have Mason push him along, right? So I pitted, everything went perfectly to plan, and then it kind of started going not to plan a little bit later on there, because I had underfueled probably by one. It was probably 0.2 or 0.3 of a gallon, whatever the next click would have been. And Chris had overfueled by a whole lap. So
yeah, a whole lot, yeah.
What didn't really plan out was I didn't envision Chris having a chance to push himself and Mason all the way up here. Now, thankfully, I take it that Mason had a mistake somewhere along the way that kind of foiled that from being perfectly executable. But at the end there, it did end up getting terrifying, I gotta say.
Well, yeah, it was certainly interesting to see you go in kind of a lap before everybody else, but got you out in some clean air, and you got to the lead. And it's definitely hard to get past you when you're in the lead, whether you're fuel saving or not. You can put in some fast laps, and even the last lap, I know you're trying to save a little bit of fuel, but even almost cracked yourself into the 54. Actually, no, sorry, that was for your fastest lap. So, yeah, I could definitely see some fuel saving being done there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you get it done certainly a little bit better than at the Red Bull Ring, where you had to settle for second place. Bourgeois definitely didn't have the same kind of race like he did at a Red Bull Ring. But now you guys head to a brand new track next week, Mexico. Any laps on the track yet?
No laps on the track, just plenty of watching NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series this past spring. And I think we're going to bring a pretty competitive piece there. That track, even in theory, looks super fun to drive, just based on what I like in a track. And I think that I don't know that the Aston's going to be the car, because that looks like a pretty flat elevation changeless track. Which means there's not going to be any support from any camber. So I don't think Aston will be the play. I look forward to being proven wrong, but we'll see what comes out of the garage next week. And the track itself, I'm just very excited for. Should provide some really good racing. There's a handful of straightaways that offer a handful of different passing zones and some tight side by side opportunity. Should be displayed on the broadcast pretty well, if you ask me.
I would think so, yeah, for sure, and certainly looking forward to heading to Mexico. I know I enjoy the track when they go there on Formula One, so looking to see what the GT3 cars can handle. But either way, you get the win here tonight, so take some time to celebrate this one, and we'll let you do that in a moment. But before we do, who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, first and foremost, since Renan couldn't make his Christopher L. Hard Charger Sandbagger Award interview, he just wanted to extend his thanks to the field for showing up, to our wonderful sponsors for supporting our league, you guys at Core Racing Network, for everything that you guys do for us as well. So shout out Ren, good job on him getting the Christopher L. Hard Charger Sandbagger Award for the week. And I echo that same thanks to all the sponsors here at our league, as well as you guys at Core Racing Network. In fact, I bet you tomorrow night I'll be tuned in to your race here, which I believe is at Mexico City tomorrow night. So yeah, so actually, you know, that's exactly what I'll be doing tomorrow night. I'll be tuned in, eyes square on my PC during that, just to see what I could learn from that race. But additionally, thanks to my whole family, mom, dad, and Sandy, Chris. Huge shout out to Uncle Lee. I'm so glad I was actually able to win on your birthday today, sir. So happy birthday, Uncle Lee. And this win's for you, buddy. Chris, that supports me as well. Thank you. I think I said girlfriend Anna, but we'll add it in there a second time. And yeah, we'll get on the plane, come back over the Atlantic, and get down to Mexico.
Yeah, well, you may get a special treat because I believe me and Jimmy will be subbing in for tomorrow night, and you may get to see myself and Jimmy covering the GT race. So, hey, if you're not busy, maybe you stop in there, be a little special guest in the booth, and we'll kind of pick your brain on what you're seeing so far from the track. But either way, enjoy the time here, and we'll see you for sure next weekend, Mexico.
Yeah, I'll have my people get in contact with your people, and we'll see if we can schedule some time for that. I should definitely be available.
Absolutely, buddy. All right, that is your overall winner here tonight, the 88 of Craig Jancic, getting it done here at the beautiful Le Mans. That is going to do it here for round number 2 for CSRL, as we had another great turnout, 37 cars taking the green flag here tonight, and certainly looking forward to the time when we get 40 cars to finally take the green flag. I know we already did raffle off the racing gloves for your feet, the 40racewear.com product that Jim Herrick sent out for. I'm trying to see. I forget who won the raffle, but they did give it out since we had 40 cars in attendance for last week. But I want to see 40 cars out there take that green flag. So challenge to all of you out there in CSRL Nation. But I want to thank everyone out there in CRN Nation for tuning in here tonight. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe. Get you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer. But for myself and Jimmy here, and the CRN booth at Le Mans. We'll see you at the track.